Steph Curry is the greatest shooter of all time, but he doesn't follow many of the traditional rules of shooting. I'm going to break down his shot form to help you guys understand just how special of a player he is. So Steph's greatest difference in his shot is that he has a one motion shot. If you don't know what a one motion shot is, it's basically a shot where you release the ball as you jump upwards. On the other hand, the two motion shot is where you bring the ball to your set point and then release it at the top of your jump. Now, 99% of NBA players have two motion shots, so let's break this down at a mechanical level. Here are three of the greatest shooters of all time. Now, I've paused this video at the precise moment when all three of them are about to release the ball. You're going to see here that the angle between MJ's upper and lower arm is at nearly a 90-degree angle. If you want a textbook jumper, then look no further than Jordan. Now, play the video a couple more seconds and that jumper is about to put an end to an entire franchise. Now, both Klay and Durant's jumpers are a bit more acute than Jordan's, but this is mainly because they're shooting from further out. Either way, you'll notice that there's a fair amount of separation between those lower and upper arms. Each of their shots are relatively textbook jumpers and would make any shooting coach squeal in delight. Meanwhile, let's move to Curry. So here, Curry's going to come around a screen and receive the ball. But you see this right here? This is what separates Curry from the rest. He's going to begin his release at this point in time, and the angle his arms are going to form is extraordinarily tight, almost to the point where he can't bend his upper arm back any further. If you compare Curry's release angle with the other shooters, you're going to find that it's significantly more acute. If you imagine it as a spring, then it's the equivalent of compressing the spring much further. And if you've ever taken physics, then you'll know that more distance equals more power. And more power means that Curry doesn't have to sacrifice accuracy. He made that shot, by the way. But let's take a look further. Here's a shot that Curry sunk against the Cleveland Cavaliers in the 2017 NBA Finals. Now, take a minute to just revel in how insane this shot is. But what makes this one interesting is how high the shot arced. I mean, for a brief moment, the shot isn't even in the frame. In fact, when you look at the shot as it goes inside the basket, it makes a perfect 60-degree angle with the hoop. To put that in perspective, this is a shot LeBron made from a similar distance. The angle between the ball and the hoop, 45 degrees on the dot. Despite being 6 inches shorter and 65 pounds lighter than LeBron, he's getting an additional 15 degrees on his shot. In fact, this shot was so high that it absolutely shattered the recommended entrance angle of 43 to 47 degrees. Now, in reality, Steph shot without a 6'8", 250-pound Kevin Love chasing him while the buzzer faced to 0 is around 46 degrees, which makes much more sense. But what this shot here demonstrates is 1, that Steph's shot is extraordinarily versatile, and 2, that he's able to get extraordinary amounts of power on his shot without really trying. Now, part of this is due to that tight angle of his arms, but there's another factor coming into play here, which is a staple of what one-motion shooters do: the early release. You see, technically there is no such thing as a pure one-motion shot, because every shot has two parts: the bring up and the release. But the timing of each of these movements is what's important. Here's a look at Kobe Bryant. Considering that he's shooting free throws, it's about as good of a look you're going to get on this form. You're going to notice that as he brings the ball up, his legs are going to bend. Then, after he gets to his set point, he's going to jump off with his legs to release the ball. In fact, his legs are almost synchronized with his two motions. On the bring up, he bends, and then on the release, he jumps. But Steph's mechanics are going to work completely differently. Rather, he's going to start off by bending his legs while keeping the ball down. Then the entire process of bringing the ball up and releasing it is going to occur while he's jumping. By executing both motions of his shot so quickly that it essentially turns into one motion and doing it during the jump, he's going to get far more power on his jumper. Now, considering that Kobe operated largely within the mid-range, it makes sense why this shot worked for him, because bringing the ball up before the jump allows him to make shots like this. But for a three-point demon like Steph, it's the other way around. Now, there's a lot of other nuances within Steph's shot that makes him so interesting. The slight tilt in his stance, the way he rotates his body as he shoots, that slight thumb flick at the end. And if you want to get a deeper analysis, there are many videos out there that take the science between Steph's game to an extreme. but each of these things are really just variations on that classic, silky smooth one motion jumper that so few players in the world have truly perfected. To give you some perspective on this, the only players I can think of who have a release as quick as Steph's is Trae Young and maybe Lillard, Harden, and Darius Garland. Meanwhile, the list of NBA players who shoot like this is pretty extensive. You see, shooting one motion is not hard. Go to any local LA Fitness and there's a ton of people who will pull up to the NBA line and drain a 3. But doing it against 6'10" behemoths while being double teamed and running off 2 screens and no oxygen, well, that's what makes him Steph Curry. Anyways, that's all I got for today. I hope you enjoyed and thanks for watching.